Well, welcome to viewers in person and watching this recording later. Today we are doing a step-by-step process of what goes into building and formatting a micro Kickstarter. A little about me before I hop in. I'm Zack Applewhite, and what a micro Kickstarter is are small Kickstarters. This is where I got started back when I was selling poems for $1. I'm right now doing a series of micro Kickstarters that are stacking on top of each other. What we're going to be building today is the next in that series. I don't have all the information that is going to go into it, but I've built out as much as I can to show you exactly what I do step by step. And I'm going to talk about a lot of the new features Kickstarter has rolled out, like the pay as you go feature, and also showing you how you can use this to build up to bigger projects like over here where we're starting to get into the thousands of dollars. With that, we're going to go ahead and start right here, all right, to how to create one. You're going to open up your profile after you've created a profile. You're going to go to new, all right. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to set up your category. So I tend to start with games. And you're going to go to tabletop games if you're doing a tabletop game category. Explore categories. When you're selecting categories for your project, my number one recommendation is to look at competitors or other projects like yours and see what they're identifying themselves as. So, for example, I have seen those who are printing books or anything physical also add gaming hardware. All right, because it lets you pick two categories. So, next, add your subcategory. I tend to go with publishing and zines these days just because I think it gives me a broader audience and because I think that it's not far from what I'm doing. I think that the people who are within the zine market will appreciate. And there's no other categories I like in, let's say, games, which is much closer to what I'm doing. But I'm not game hardware, nothing's live, nothing's mobile, nothing card, nothing video, and no puzzles. So for me, publishing zines makes the most sense. You're going to want to select your country. I'm going to scroll down to the United States here. Continue. And then it's very important that you understand the rules. Most of these are very, clear, and most of you won't have any problem meeting these rules. And the biggest ones are make sure that you aren't fundraising, you're not offering any equity, and then it can involve prohibited items. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. It's like a list of things you can't bring into the airport at some point. No energy, food, drinks, no contest or coupons, genetically modified organisms, live animals. You just have a fun time going through all of this, um, and figuring out if what you're trying to do is any of this. But most people don't have a problem with that. You can read through everything on your own and say, got it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the basics. All right. This is your title, which is what you're going to call your project. Is the primary goal of the title is to A, spark interest, and B, have a little bit of keyword in there as well. So I work in a lot of D&D. An interesting thing about how people search for D&D projects is they don't type D shift. In my computer, it's shift 7D to get the and sign in there. Generally speaking, they use D, the letter N in lowercase capital D. All right. So what I'm doing is a Gone Campin' is the next in my series of cozy D&D one-shots. So here's the title, and here's why I chose it this way. Title, Gone Campin'. That is the actual product. Cozy D&D 5e one-shot. And you notice I put D&D in here as an and. I'm going to put D&D in the description so that I can show up potentially for both. That can be reversed, though. You could put D&D. I don't attach the 5e because most of the projects that rank for D&D, most of the projects that are creating in this space don't attach the 5e. They're doing that separately. So I have Cozy D&D 5e one shot, another thing that people search for that I can show up for, and pay what you want, which is very important because it tells people what kind of project this is. It sets an expectation that it's not going to be very expensive. It can be $1 or they can be generous and they can pay as much money as they want. Generally, people don't pay more than $10 for the kind of product that I'm selling, but I also will go into how I use add-ons to get them to pay more. All right. And it is something searchable. Some people are on Kickstarter and it's the end of the month and they just want a good deal or they want to see what people are creating and they want to support it. And so here they go. All right, so in the title, I've got my product. I've got a few things that kind of set the tone, like cozy and pay what you want. And I've got searchables like D&D, One Shot, and pay what you want. All right, now we go into the description. The description, all right, sits at only 135 characters, so you got to be very succinct. All right, this is meant to kindle the spark that gone camping, it's cozy, and it's pay what you want. It should kindle the spark, it should give them a little bit more. All right, so the example that I'm going to use here is lay down your swords and pick up your marshmallow sticks in this cozy D&D adventure of campfires and cabin battles. All right. Now, I obviously had some incorrect spellings there. I would probably touch this up a little bit. I would probably add a little bit more. I like to use every bit of space I have in this 135, which means I have about 20 characters left that I can use. But this is a great start to get me going. All right. So we'll scroll down to the project location. You do not have to give your actual city. You can just give the biggest metropolitan city near you. This usually isn't a big driver, but there are some people on Kickstarter who are specifically looking to support people in their local community. So by choosing a metropolitan next to you, like let's say you're not in Pittsburgh, but you're 30 minutes to an hour from Pittsburgh, you might just put Pittsburgh, all right, Pennsylvania. Me, I am 30 minutes from Cleveland. So I like to put Cleveland, all right, Ohio. That way, people who are in Cleveland can support Cleveland if they want to. That's usually not something that happens a lot. And I'm not giving away my actual location to people. I'm getting to keep a bit of privacy without being dishonest. All right. Moving on to the project image. All right. I have set aside a few things here. So let's go to upload and let's go to the desktop and build a micro Kickstarter with me. All right, header image. And again, this is something where I threw this together very recently. And I threw all this together, by the way, and I'm about to drag something else into my screen. All of the images I'm going to be attaching today, I created by hand in Canva. So for the main image, I like to use these about dimensions, about a 10.5 by 6 or 1204 by 576 pixels. And you can see that what I'm going for here is to very clearly state, pay what you want. I'm putting a map in the background really helps me. Having something that does not distract from the foreground, but sets the tone is really nice. I have this right here. This will normally be character art like our artist does over here. All right, this one's probably my favorite. I'm setting the vibe by having this kind of campy sign, some text that I like, and over here I say campfire songs and cabin battles await in cozy D&D one shot for D&D 5e, a very succinct version of the description I put earlier. This is the main thing people are going to see when they find your project, so it's very important that you spend the most time out of all the images. This is your highest priority image. All right, so we've got that taken care of. Let's drag this away and get back to the rest of the micro. All right. Project video optional. If you're creating a micro Kickstarter, my recommendation is not to have a project video at all. It takes a lot of time. There's not a lot of payoff. We've done it. We've experimented with it. Do your own thing. But in my experience, it doesn't move the needle a lot, but it takes up a lot of capacity, and that capacity could be better used elsewhere. So we're going to skip right over that. Funding goal, generally speaking, you want these between $100 and $500. For these pay what you want super micro Kickstarters, I've been going with just a $50 funding goal. Okay. Here's one of the new Kickstarter features that they've been rolling out, the pledge over time. I did a whole post about this on LinkedIn and Reddit and in my Discord. All right. But it won't really apply to the micro side. I still want to go over it because it's important for the long term, which is backers who pledge $125 or more will have the option to break the payment out in 3 payments. The first payment will be collected at the end of the Kickstarter and will go as part of your funds that get sent to you after all the funds are processed. The following two payments, all right, will happen over time and will happen 3 weeks after the final payment is collected. There's a lot that goes into this. If you're running a larger campaign, you need to think about this very clearly because too many backers using it could completely wreck your cash flow. Luckily for the micro Kickstarter, you don't need to worry that much. You can just say, no, I don't want to do pledge over time. Target launch date is completely arbitrary. This will not launch when you launch it. I know that we're shooting for sometime in June. I prefer to hit toward the top of the month when people first get paid, but with a pay what you want campaign and a micro campaign, it's not going to cost a lot of money. I can launch whenever I want. I know that our art's probably not going to be ready at this point, so I'm going to make my goal this Tuesday, never launch on a Monday in June. All right, but if I launch later, that is okay. Campaign duration. Never go the full 30 days, especially for a micro campaign. It is killer on the soul. For these, I've only been going 7 days. My sweet spot for me is between 14 and 21 days if I'm trying to raise $500 or more. For $100 or less, I'm now at the point where I only need 7 days. If you're doing this for the first time, consider the 14 to 21, but don't put yourself through the full 30. The reminder of that is that most of your funding is going to happen in the first 48 to 72 hours and the last 48 to 72 hours. So the middle, you're going to see very incremental growth. So over the 21 days, I'm cutting off 9 days. Over those 9 days, I might actually only gain like 3, maximum 9 backers. I'm willing to say no to them to save myself 9 days of worrying about this. Plus, I get to then fulfill the rewards faster. So for this, I'm only doing 7 total days. I put 5 in there, meant 7. All right. Post campaign late pledges. This is another new feature, so let's talk about it. What late pledges tell you is if you click yes enable, all right, you'll be able to set certain rewards, not all your rewards. So you get to choose the rewards, which rewards are available for late pledging. This is great if you're doing things like books or anything that's physical and is going to take a month or two to produce. Late pledges allow you to say, yes, I want it to be a late pledge. And you can either end it at a certain date that you set. So let's say this is launching in June, and it'll take me 2 months to get all of the money I need and all the stuff I need. All right. So let's say 1 month before I need to make a payment. All right. Is when I want my late pledges done and runs through June, July. At the end of July, I would stop accepting late pledges. I need all my money so that I can make my purchase order. All right. In August. So that's the way to use it if you have something physical. For an all digital project like mine that you're going to turn around really quickly, for micro Kickstarters, generally, you don't need to accept late pledges because I'm only running this for 7 days. I'm going to turn this around 3 to 4 days usually after the whole thing is done. So I really have no need for late pledges. I don't want to have to worry about it. I don't want to have to promote it. I've done all the promoting I'm going to do. And if you're running a longer campaign, really think about how much time it's going to take you to fulfill. And if you want to spend that time saying, hey, late pledges are open over and over again, or leave yourself open to them, I think it works better for larger campaigns. We've tried this with my wife's book. It worked great. We got a backer who paid $125 as a late pledge. Wonderful. We wish we'd run it longer. For these micro campaigns, not entirely necessary. So I'm going to click no, do not enable late pledges. The pledge manager, I haven't used because I don't need it, so I can't speak on it very well. I'm going to be clicking no, I do not want to use this. And with that, you have your basics down. Now we're going to go into one of the more complicated parts of building any Kickstarter today, which is the reward section. They've completely changed this from a year ago, and it's a bit finicky. So I'm going to tell you how best to build these out to save yourself a lot of headache. All right. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to start with items. I usually go in the order of items, add-ons, and then rewards if I'm doing anything large. The reason you want to start with items is that items include every little thing that you're going to be putting into your Kickstarter. So every little bookmark, every little signature, everything is going into the items. Okay. So I'm getting my notes up real quick. So what I'm going to do, what I do with mine, okay, over here in this beta games, is that I offer all of these as add-ons. That means that they need to be items too. If it's going to be part of your add-on or your reward, it needs to be an item, okay? So let's go back over and I'm going to start loading in these items. Let's start with the one that's actually running right now, but will be an item here. Gone beekeeping. Do you need an image for the item? This is the lowest priority image in the entire Kickstarter. Okay. It is fine if this remains a bullet point. It's probably going to be the same or similar image to what is on your page, to what is on your reward. So you really don't need this. You can. It's a bonus. If you have it, you can do that to make things easier or more clear for the backer. So let's go we're already in build a micro Kickstarter. Did I put my add-ons in here? Da, 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 da. Yeah, let's just skip it for now. We'll come back to this. All right, so I'm doing no image, save item, done. You're not priced. These aren't prices. There's no shipping information here. That's all rewards and add-ons. For these items, you're just going to put in every little thing. If you have an author signature, that should go in here. If you're doing a shout out for you're launching some sort of media project and you're offering shout outs to people, you want that on your item list. All right. Let's pop all these in here. Just two more. Got Gone Snowballing and Gone Fishing. Save. Okay, so now all of my items are in here. Didn't need to add descriptions, and you don't have to have images. That's a bonus, but it's your lowest priority image. Now let's go into add-ons. The add-ons are very similar to rewards. You have your core rewards, and then you can offer add-ons to kind of upsell them into bigger baskets. This has worked great for the micros because we're having people buy these older ones when they haven't been with us for a while. Our reoccurring customers will come back, buy the newest edition, but new customers will come back and sometimes they'll buy the whole thing or they'll just buy the ones that sound interesting to them. So let's put in an add-on. Let's start with our biggest one, which is Gone Fishing. All right. And I can choose to add a description to this, or I can choose to have it in my page. I usually like both. So what I'll actually do is open up this one right here, and I'll scroll down. We'll go into page building in a bit. So here's a little preview, and I'll grab my description from right here. All right, which is usually just the description I was using on the Kickstarter page itself. Oh, all right. Here, I would like to add an image. So let's go into here, and I believe that I use desktop and micro Kickstarter reusables, and then I add in the Gone Fishing add-on right there. All right, and I've altered the image from the original Kickstarter to show that this usually was $10. You can get this for $5, and of course I'm going to price that at $5. All right. Whether the availability is to say, is this limited? Oh, we'll only give this to 10 people. Since we're going digital, there's no reason to do this. It's unlimited and there's no time limit. Time limit is if you want to do something like an early bird special for the $10 project Gone Fishing. When we launched it, we did an early bird for $8 to give people who were first hopping on, first discovered us, or fans of what I've done in the past, an opportunity to get a better deal. We get to reward them, we get faster funding, and we get to incentivize newcomers to back us right now rather than just follow the project and wait. All right. But for the pay what you want campaigns, I don't need that. So I'm going to say no time limit. Here's where the items come in. Okay. Now this was only the add-on, so it only needs one item and it needs the Gone Fishing PDF. Estimated delivery. This is launching in June. I'm going to put estimated delivery in July and for this year. This is an estimation. If you go over, people might get a little upset with you, but that is kind of common within Kickstarter. The goal, of course, is always to fulfill on time or earlier. I love micro Kickstarters and all digital projects because I, generally speaking, have 80% or more of the project already completed and ready for delivery. So when they're done, I can ship them right away. And so I'm usually very good about surprising and delighting new customers with, hey, yeah, I said July, but it's June and we're already delivering. So it's a nice surprise and delight. This is very important, okay, for shipping. Don't put ships anywhere in the world, okay? And definitely don't do this. If you say you're shipping anything but the digital reward, no shipping, they're going to ask your backers for an address. And if your backers, to fulfill their reward, they pull in their backer survey and they're being asked for an address for a PDF, that feels sketchy for them. So if you're doing an all digital rewards or any add-ons that are digital, make sure you click digital reward, no shipping, so that they don't get asked an awkward question for a reward that does not make sense for them. All right, we are all done here. Let's go ahead and save our add-on. All right, now I would do this for all of those items I listed before. For time's sake, we're going to skip that and we're going to go straight into the reward tier. All right, click new reward. So for this one is the main reward I'm going to be offering. And I generally, if you're doing multiple rewards, I like to start with my cheapest rewards and work my way up. This is going to be very simple. We're just going to do the actual reward itself. So that is going to be a digital PDF copy of Gone Beekeeping. Or not Gone Beekeeping, Gone Camping. It's right. So actually, this is what I like to do. This is actually my description here. All right, where I'm telling them it's a digital copy of what we're doing. And here, because it's a pay what you want campaign, I just title it Pay What You Want. The way to generally approach the rewards are twofold. Either you can be fancy and be like, this is the paladin level, all right? And then you go into more details in the description. Or you can be very clear cut and say, this is what you're getting. This is a description, and you save the flavor for the Kickstarter page. Neither is better or worse. All right. I started with a lot more flavor in my pledges. I have since focused on making my pledges as easy to understand as possible because I don't want to confuse and turn away backers by being confusing and by doing too much fluff when I have the whole Kickstarter page to be fluffy, to be excited, to be very detailed and descriptive while being very, very fun and flavorful. I keep most of my flavor out of my rewards, and if I am adding flavor, I usually add it in the description here, where I say like digital copy of Gone Camping to make your parties more cozy and exciting. And that's the most flavor I tend to go. For these micros, I want this to be a quick decision for them. They're only dropping as little as $1. This shouldn't be a hard thing for them to think about, and all the flavor is going to be in the page that we're about to build. All right. I do want to bring up that image. So let's go back. We'll go back to desktop, go back to build a Kickstarter with me, and we're going to go back to that header image. Is going to be the same image I use in my reward. All right. And I'm pricing that at $1 because I'm doing this as a pay what you want. Real quick note on alt text. Alt text is completely optional. I've always struggled with it because how do I describe this picture, which is what alt text is meant to do? It's meant to be a description of what's going on. And I have trouble doing that beyond just typing what's on the page. And because the image isn't really important for understanding the reward, because the reward is so clear, I tend to skip over it unless I have a lot of time on my hands, in which I will go in and fill it out. Right. Audience, all backers or secret rewards. This is another new feature. So if you have something like a really good community, I think Legends of Avantris could have done this. I think Critical Role could do this. I think that those with really strong and vibrant communities can do this. This is basically early birds, though. Okay, this is just a no feature to kind of incorporate early birds in a different way. So you can offer secret rewards to people who have a link to that reward and say, well, because you're a part of our Discord group, you get the secret reward, and that includes a badge with your D&D book. Cool. I don't need that. I don't have a big enough community to make a push for that. So I'm going to select that this is for all backers. Again, just like the add-on, no limit. All right. Unless this was an early bird or something. Estimated delivery, same as before. All right. This is going to be launching in June. Let's call it July of 2025. Again, very important. It is a digital reward. All right. Let's save reward. Oh, I forgot to add an item. So for this one, I'm going to choose, did I not put Gone Camping in here? Oh no. So I have to go back. This is a great example of why you have to get your items straight from the start, because now it won't even let me save until I go in and I put in my rewards. So what I'm actually going to try and do, if I can get away with it. All right. And I have an alternative. I'm going to go into items. I'm going to add a new item, but Gone Camping. I was so focused on my add-ons, I forgot to do this. Save item, come back here, see if it will allow me to do this. Choose an existing item. I can just create it in the moment, but creating them all in the item section together helps you keep everything uniform for your backers so that I have everything, like all of these are properly capitalized. All of them have that little notation at the end. All of them say PDF in all caps. It's very clear, it's very concise, it's very uniform, and I like that. I didn't get to do that here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Gone Antiquin. I'm going to save the reward, and then I'm going to edit it immediately to see if it's updated. I'm going to trash this item and choose Gone Camping right there. All right. All right. So now our items are sorted out. Our rewards are sorted out. Looks good. It's Gone Camping, estimated delivery July 2025. It's a digital reward, and it's got everything sorted out. They can now add these add-ons. All right. It's available for one reward because I only have one reward. All right. All of your add-ons should be available for all of your reward tiers. Anyways, now our rewards are set and we can focus on our story. The story is, let's go back to like over here. This is your story right here. This whole middle section that rolls through your campaign. And I'm going to build this out and show you how and why it builds out certain things. I love to start with banners. All right, so let's pull up that Canva again so that I can show you the dimensions that I use. All right, so generally speaking with the dimensions for the banners, I go at a 1200 to 300 pixel. And here's the banners we're going to use today. Went ahead and downloaded those already. So we're going to drop them in to our page here. And Kickstarter banner examples. And I like to start with basically the title. This is your visual hook of like, here's what we're talking about today. All right, let's just see if we can pull in all of these banners real quick. So start with Gone Campin'. What I generally like, here's Gone Antiquin'. I like to start with a flavorful, what is this campaign about? Why should you care? And then I go into what's included. Let's pull in what's included. All right. After I've talked about what's included and I've shown a little bit about what's happening, I can either go into project details if I'm doing something larger. With what's included, I like to tell them, here's what you're getting. If I'm doing something bigger than this small of a micro Kickstarter, I'll do a project details where I go into more details for the people who care about the more details about what are the dimensions, why did I make all the decisions I made. I'll do that in more details. That's not necessary for as micro as I'm going here. So I skip over that and I go straight into timeline. All right. Your timeline is going to tell people what to expect in terms of here's how long things are going to take, here's delivery. And I also like to give myself a little buffer and say, hey, if I can't deliver by this time, I can absolutely deliver by this time. But of course, the goal is to deliver by the time we're aiming for. So we pull in the timeline. All right. After I've talked about the timeline to give them some of that, I go into add-ons, and I love to pull in all the images that I use for the add-on rewards and previous descriptions of the Kickstarters from before, and a link to those Kickstarters so that they can see more, learn more, and really sell themselves on it. All my past Kickstarters can sell them on it. So now that I've done the timeline, let's go into add-ons. All right. Once I've done all the add-ons, I can finally talk about myself, all right, and any collaborators that I have. I wait to talk about myself because it's not about me. They're not backing for me. They are backing because they want something. What they want is to feel good about supporting somebody, so I add myself. What they want is to get the thing that you're selling at the end of the day. So that's what I mostly give them. All right. I sell them on the main product. I sell them that I have the ability to get it to them with the timeline. And then I sell them on all of my other products with add ons until finally talking about myself. All right. So let's go ahead and pop in creators. And under the creators, I like to have another thing. I like to have bios. Let's bring in that Canva again and show you what we're talking about here. All right. So for the bio of the Canva, I usually like to go with a 680 340 pixel. And I like to just do very simple. I like the white background because it blends into the white of the Kickstarter. And it just is a picture of me and a bio of me. Very straightforward. If I have collaborators, I add them in too. For the sake of today's video, we're just going to add in my bio. All right. So let's pull that in. Let's go back. Work with me. All right. Go here and bio. There we go. What's also important here is that you can link to your own stuff through your bio. If you have a website, this is good for SEO. If you have a link tree, this is good for just general connection. I allow people to find me through all my Kickstarters. I don't think I get a ton of traffic out of it, but it certainly doesn't hurt anything. So if you have something you're pushing, like a website, a link tree, a TikTok, whatever, you can pop a link in here and anyone who clicks on your image will get taken over and they can follow you, they can see your website or whatever you want them to do. All right. So pull my notes back up here, drag this over here. All right. An option you have, okay, is stretch goals. I don't do these for my micros, but you have an option where I would generally add them is right under the what's included section. And a sort of example of how I like to format stretch goals. Let's pull back up that Canva so that you can see exactly. Oh, here is also a what's included. You have the option to give these graphically. All right. So I like to just kind of give the basics of what they're going to get. I usually don't do these for these super micros anymore, but I did this for like Gone Fishing because there was more to talk about. All right. So the game time, some mechanics, tasks to earn badges. I haven't decided what else to put in here. Awesome art, cabin battles, but no actual combat because it's a cozy adventure. All right. An example of what I've used in the past, here's one I used for Gone Fishing, talking about very specifics like over 30 fish, 3 unique fishing spots, robust equipment and bait, fishing mechanics for D&D 5e. This is very getting a little bit into the weeds, not full-on project details, but giving them some more information that they can start selling themselves on it. I use the same dimensions for stretch goals. Here's what I used for Gone Fishing, and I liked all these check marks. Boop, only go on there after it's been fulfilled. So when it first launches, it looks a lot more like this. And I left this as bottom out. All right. But this is what it looked like at the end of the campaign because we had unlocked so many stretch goals. All right, here's another example of one we did for a campaign a while ago with me and my wife, which was a Western campaign. So all these are bullet holes. So you can get creative. And here's your dimensions again. You can have a lot of fun with this. Let's see if I have that image ready on the what's included section. And then we got to hit save so we don't lose all of this. Boop, bop. That. Click the plus button here. Image. And yep, I pulled it in here. What's included? Boop. Ta-da. All right, now that's all good to go. We'll save that. Now, I don't have enough time within this hour to go into all of the work I put into text. So for now, just to kind of make things look a little bit more full, I'm going to just pop in some ipsum lorem, which is, or lorem ipsum, which is just filler text. Put some right there. All right. Take out the bolding. I don't know why that was there. All right. And I like to have a little description sell people here. I would usually make this much shorter. I usually break this out into two different parts. All right. Timeline should just be a bullet point. The add-ons, I can actually go in here. What's great about building these micro Kickstarters is that I can pull in everything but these images by just dragging, copy, paste. Right now, you'll see this is a tricky thing with Kickstarter. It shows that these images are in here. If I click save and I refresh, those images are going to disappear. All right. You cannot copy and paste the images, but all the text is there. And so I can go in, go back to plus, image, go back to my desktop. Let's go back to my reusables. Build a Kickstarter with me. Reusable. Here it is. And that was the Gone Fishing add-on. Boop. Now that's in there. I can also take this link and link these images to their Kickstarters. All right. I won't do this for all of them because we don't have enough time. This is just to give you a general idea of what it's going to look like. And now let's take a moment. Let's click save. Let's preview how this is looking. Okay. It's looking like a project now, isn't it? We have our funding goal. We have our days. We have our image. We have our great title. We have our great description, all with a bit of keyword so that people who are searching for these kind of projects can find us. They know where we are. They know our category. And you'll see that this is starting to look like a real campaign. I just need to fill in some of this text here, and I need to fill in the rest of these images. All right, our main reward here. And I would go back and edit this reward to fit more properly. I think I went a little crazy because I was throwing this together on the spot, but that's what it's generally going to look like. Okay. And one item included as an optional add-on, you would have all of the add-ons there. I only have this one because it's the tutorial I'm just giving you here. Okay, let's exit preview. All right, and let's talk about people. This is where if you have anyone you're collaborating with, you're going to add them. All right, you would add a collaborator. You would put their email in here. You'd give them a title. Let's say that they were the artist for your campaign. And then you get to choose as the main creator, as the person who this is all, you're the manager of the money, okay? Should be the creator. Because at the end of the day, it comes back on them. Whoever owns the card, the bank account that this is going into, they should be the creator who owns the account because they are going to be liable for all the money issues. And you get to decide how much control the other party has. They could edit the project, or if you trust them that much, they could manage the community, which makes them be able to have updates and mark comments as spam. They could coordinate fulfillment, all right, viewing all the backer activity, managing surveys, and all of that. And they could configure the pledge manager, which I don't mess with, so I don't worry about. Generally speaking, I give people that I'm working with manage community to start and edit project if I trust them, and only coordinate fulfillment if I really trust them. But generally speaking, I don't do that because there's no reason for them to know all the backer information because I do all the fulfillment as well as all the financial stuff. So generally speaking, this is the furthest I will go. All right. Now, we're not going to send this to anybody. So we'll just go ahead and skip this for now and go into payment. If you are not an LLC, if you are not a registered business, you're going to select individual. Okay. When you select, you cannot unselect this. When I'm running things for Applewhite Games, I'm a business. All right. And I have to give them my EIN number. I have to give them all of my banking information, my driver's license. And by the way, even for individual, you're going to need banking info. You'll probably need driver's license, but you won't need like an EIN number. Okay. Which is an employment identification number. So if you're a business, have all your documents ready to go. If you're an individual, just have your bank account and routing number ready to go and a driver's license. So we're going to click individual because everything I do for beta games, I say individual. All right. And I go continue. It's going to take a minute. Great. All right. Now they do everything on Stripe. I'm not actually going to fill this out in front of you because I don't want you to have my account and routing number. But suffice it to say that you're going to create an account on Stripe that has your name, your address. You might need to upload a identification, such as a driver's license. You'll definitely need your account and routing number handy and your social security number. Stripe is a very reputable payment processor. It doesn't just process for Kickstarter, it processes for a lot of people. Kickstarter is not even their highest billed client. So that you can understand that they are reputable and are going to be safe with your information, at least as much as any other major digital company is going to be. So take that as you will. I've decided to trust Kickstarter and Stripe as much as I can with my information. All right. And then you'll add your banking information again here in the account and routing number. I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to do that. All right. Payment source, when you've done all of that, this unlocks, you're going to put in your card that you want everything to be received on, or the banking information that you want everything to be received to. Again, I'm not going to do that, but just again, have all that information ready to go. Okay. Once you've done all of that, you're finally ready to promote. You have to complete all of that. When you go to the project overview, you'll see that all of these will be checked. Okay. And you'll be able to go into project review. Once it's reviewed, you can start promoting. Also, let's go down here. I think I missed something. Way down here. Yes, I did. All right. Risks and challenges, which is just you telling, here's what we expect to be an issue, potentially, and here's how we're going to handle it. All of these are optional things that you can say, hey, for example, it's digital. All right. So all digital. All right. Means lasts forever. And forever is one word. All right. Reusability, recyclability, it's digital. Sustainable materials, it's digital. Environmentally friendly factors. No trees were harmed in the making of these PDFs. All right. So you can fill that out as much as you want. I generally like to give answers like that because it's kind of ridiculous for my personal, but if you're using any materials that are like, oh yeah, we're using recyclable packaging materials or recycled packaging materials, put that in there. That's an awesome way to just be like, hey, yeah, here's what we're doing to do our part. We do not use AI. All right. And you have an option to add frequently asked questions. Generally speaking, this isn't necessary. This is low priority unless you're worried about people being confused about certain aspects of your project. If not, wait until people are asking questions in your comment section or directly in your inbox and then add them post, which you can totally do. Let's click save on that. Let's go back to our project overview. All right, so let's say that you've done everything here. You completed the payment information, your project went into review and it got accepted. That can take anywhere from instantly to 3 business days, okay? Then you're ready to go into promotion. That will look like this, all right? Which is before you launch, it'll look like, I've already saved this one. So it'll look like this, where they can say, notify me of launch. All right. If they have 10 or more people click the notify me of launch, there will be a 10 people are following this or more. All right here. But Kickstarter doesn't say how many people are following until they get to the 10 number. And I'm sure that they have their reasons for that, for bandwagoning people. All right. With that, you have completed building a micro Kickstarter. You're ready to launch on the date that you choose. You're ready to handle all of the rewards and everything. And we can now go into questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Stop the share. All right. And for those who were able to join us today, I am ready for questions. You can just go ahead and type them out into the chat. Lots of small things that are easier to forget. Glad you're highlighting those now to show how important they are later. Again, the good news is for Ada and everyone who's not able to be here at this moment, everything is recorded, so everything will eventually go on YouTube, probably later next week, probably a Monday or Sunday launch if I can get to it. But yes, there is a lot of little details. They have launched a lot of features. And so I am doing this on purpose because there is a lot to go through for even a micro campaign, much less a major campaign. Closing notes. My next webinar is going to be my business strategy, which is a transparent breakdown of all of my personal what I'm doing, tactics and strategies to grow my business and market my business, and why I'm doing things the way I'm doing. That'll be Saturday, June 21st at 10 a.m. To 11 Eastern Standard Time. After that one will be content marketing, and that'll be in July. I am launching a Patreon in August where I'm going to have a lot of content like this and more. So look forward to that. I'll also be at Colossal Con for anyone who's going on Thursday, the 29th. I will be there at, I believe, 2 p.m., room 7, giving a micro Kickstarter 101 seminar. If you happen to be there, come say hi. I'd love to see you. All right. If you want help with me working on anything, reach out to me. My current rate is $25 an hour. If you want a professional marketer with a lot of experience to help you, I'm right here. Until then, thank you for attending and see you next time.